everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have a book unhaul. So the video that I made right before this one, like my most recent video, I talked about breaking my book buying ban. Yes, I did, 100%. So something else that I've been thinking about besides buying new books is the fact that I've been having like a stack of books over on the side that I've been slowly adding things to for like the last half of 2025 and the first half, we're already almost halfway done, first half of this year. Things that I don't want to read anymore, things that I DNF'd, things that I did read and I didn't really enjoy, stuff that I don't want to have on my shelves. But the fact that I just broke my book buying ban and I'm now planning on buying even more things is sort of kicking me in the butt to like, we need to get rid of these. We need to do a little bit of spring cleaning. I actually wanted to have a little bit more books in this stack than what I do. I have just over 40 books here today, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad number because I've been trying to keep up with it throughout the year. A couple unhauls throughout the year and trying to like make sure that the things that I'm reading and keeping on the shelves are things that I was actually enjoying. My 4, 4.5, 5 stars. Every so often there's like a 3.5 and things like that as well. Things that I would potentially want to reread. I don't necessarily want to keep anything that was just mediocre on my shelf. So I did pull some things out and that's what we're gonna do today. I do sometimes post these on like my Depop. I haven't fully decided if I'm going to do that. If for some reason you are in the United States and you see something that you must have, comment or message me or something like that and we can see about working that out. Otherwise, they will probably go to a used bookstore near me or some little free libraries like I did last year when I dropped off some books. And that's always fun. So I guess without further ado, we're gonna jump right on in. The first category that I'm going to talk about today is the largest, and it is the books that I read and didn't enjoy enough to keep on my shelves. Not necessarily to say that they're anything bad, some of them are, but the first thing that I have here is the entire The Demon Prince of Momochi House series by Aya Shoto. This is 16 volumes of manga. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the entire thing. This is something that I have had on my shelves forever, basically. And last year, at one point in time, I can't remember if it was April or September, based on the fact that I still have it now and haven't already gotten rid of it in a different unhaul. It was probably in September during the 30 and 30 manga challenge. I read all of these. This is a series that I have had and I've only read like the first 8. And this was years and years and years ago. I read like the first 8. I didn't have any more because they didn't have any more yet. And I slowly started buying, but I don't like to read them just like one at a time. So I then ended up with the whole thing and never finished the series. And like according to this last volume here, volume 16 came out in the United States in 2020. It took me like 5 years to read this book. I remember liking the first 8 way more than when I was rereading the series, and then I really didn't like how it ended, like at all. That is what killed it for me. If it would have just had this ending slightly different, it might still have a place on my shelf. However, I really did not like how they wrapped everything up. So there are 16 volumes here, all in pretty nice condition. They're a little bit discolored on the top just from like normal living in a house type of situation, sun bleaching, that kind of thing. But the first 16 out of like 40 that we're getting rid of are those. Okay, let's move on to some other things that I've read previously. I think the next thing that we'll do are some comics. The first one that I have here is Meow the Infinite by Anna Retberg and Casey Muratori. This is book 1. This is something that I read and enjoyed well enough. However, when I bought it, I bought this at Emerald City Comic Con last year. I knew it was going to be at a younger age level than I really was thinking about in general. Like, I knew it wasn't necessarily going to be for me. It definitely read a little bit more middle grade, young adult. But my sister does like this kind of stuff as well, so I think I'm gonna pass this along to her. It was enjoyable enough, just not enough to sit on my shelves, but it is sci-fi with like a talking cat as one of the characters. Like, that is so intriguing, but the age level of it, I just knew when I bought it in the first place, might not be for me, so I'm just gonna pass this along. The next one I have here is Breakout. I actually read this year. This is by Zach Kaplan. I gave this 4 stars. However, I just don't see myself going back to it. And that's like the only thing. This is like a complete series right here. It is sci-fi. It has teens breaking into this like cube to then break other teens out. This is like almost like an alien invasion type of situation where teens have been abducted into this cube, and nobody knows how to fix it, how to save them or anything. And so these other teens are gonna do it because one of them, like his brother, was abducted. I liked it well enough. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. The ending, I think, was also the part that like took it down a little bit. Like, I loved the beginning of it, the like anticipation of the heist action. But yeah, I just don't see myself ever rereading it. This is one that I got at a Friends of the Library book sale because it was from the library and they like withdrew it from the library. So this will probably go straight into a little free library unless somebody else wants it. Then I also have Twisted Dark Volume 1 by Neil Gibson. I did not like this one. I think I gave it 3 stars. The more that I think about it, I think this could be closer to like a 2 or 2.5. Like, I remember liking some of the things here. This is supposed to be like horror short stories that are supposed to connect together. And I saw a little bit of that, but not a ton. I'm sure it does it more in other volumes, but there was like some racism elements in here that really took me out of the story. And so I knocked it down a peg for that. But at the same time, the more I think about it, the more I think it probably needed to be knocked down a little bit more. So yeah, if you like horror stuff, maybe consider this, but there were some issues for me personally that I could not get over. Okay, the next one that I have here is Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. I wanted to like this so much more than I did. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars, which again, like I said, usually everything that I keep on my shelves is only like 4 or 5, or I guess 4.5. 3.5s could be hit or miss, but this one, I just wanted more from it. It took too long to get to the actual like horror nature of it. So like this was one of those ones where I think the ending was better than the beginning, but not good enough that I want to keep it on my shelves, even though it is gorgeous, sprayed edges and everything. Then I also have something very, very similar, Mr. Magic by Kirsten White. This I also gave 3.5 stars, but in the complete opposite way, basically. And I should have said, I read a vlog for these, so I can leave a link down below in case you really want my like in-depth thoughts. But I like the beginning of this one way more, and then the ending let me down. Like, I thought this was very spooky and creepy, and the atmosphere was really good until it wasn't. I really just wanted more from it, especially near the ending. I hated how it ended, and so yeah, I don't want to keep it on my shelves. Should we make it a trifecta of things from that vlog? I actually read 4 things in that vlog, and I kept 1 because 1 was a full 5 stars. This one, did I give it like a 2? I hated this. I did not like this one. So this is Ring by Koji Suzuki. I love this edition too. I love that it has the VHS tape and then like the static TV screen on the sprayed edges, but I was really expecting more from this. I have watched, and I talked about this in the vlog, both movies, The Ring and Ringu, and this out of the 3 of them was the worst. And I can't even say like adaptation because this was the original. The vibes were just not there. It was misogynistic and weird in ways, ableist as well, homophobic, transphobic, like just like so much. I'm just like, why? Things that were taken out of the movies, obviously, they were in here instead. It was just not good. Okay, I think we're just gonna keep it on this sort of like darker spell right now. I also have something from the Nightside by Simon R. Green. This, I think I gave like 3 stars. It's the first book in a like many book series of this detective noir sort of style where they can also go into the Nightside, which is this like underbelly world of like weird, fantastical horror nature stuff. It just didn't really hit for me, and I cannot see myself reading more in the series, so yeah. I also have The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. This is the Illumicrate Evernight edition. It is YA. I can't even really remember much about it, except for I did not think it was as good as it could have been. I want to say I gave this one another like maybe 3 stars. I don't think I necessarily hated it, but again, I cannot see myself rereading it. It is about these 3 girls who have magic or witchiness or are investigating that world in some way because of this like person who I think is murdering witches, or like one of them is a curse person. I don't know. I really don't remember. But yeah, because of that, I'm not gonna reread it. Okay, I think we're gonna get out of that sort of more spooky nature and just talk about some other ones. I have Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. I gave this 3 stars. I just really wanted more from it. I don't think I fully knew that this was more literary fiction, allegory type of stuff, whereas like I was really expecting the more like play, movie script, TV script type of situation. We're following a character who is Willis Wu, and he is like generic Asian man, but he really wants to be kung fu guy, and they really play into that at first with like the TV tropes, especially in relation to being Asian American, but then that fell to the wayside, and it was just very like depressing literary fiction. It was not doing the like TV show thing that I wanted it to do. I did finish this, but at the same time, I was just sort of like, it was fine. I just didn't really think it fit what I thought I was going into. There is a TV show based on this that I think I might try, depending on how that goes, but like this was just not my cup of tea. Then we have some like romances that we can talk about here. The first one I have here is A Highlander for Hannah by Mary Warren. I want to say that this was again like a 3-star. It was fine. I thought the writing style was fine. I just wanted a little bit more from it. I think this is one of those ones where like a Highlander comes from his time to our time and people have to adjust in rom-com vibes and things, and it was fine. The next one I have here is This Spells Love by Kate Robb. This is a romance where a woman basically like wishes her ex, like she had never met her ex, and she ends up in this alternate reality where she also does not know her best friend, her guy best friend, who even before she makes this wish, her like aunt or somebody is like, you need to tell him you love him, like he loves you, etc. It took too long to get through the alternate reality stuff, so that by the time we got to like the ending and the decisions that she was going to make, I didn't really care anymore because there just wasn't enough time to develop the ending. Like this could have been so good, but it is quite a short romance. I just wanted more from it. I want to say I gave this like 3.5 stars, so like it was fine. I just wished for more. The other romance that I have here is The Kiss Countdown by Etta Easton. This is an Afterlight edition. It's very, very pretty. I love it so much. Like I wish I wanted to keep it on my shelves, but I don't. It is also signed. This one, it was just like, again, I wished for more. This is supposed to be like a fake dating sort of romance where one character is an astronaut and the other girl like needs a place to live, and so he's like, hey, I'm gonna go be an astronaut, why don't you come to my house and we can like fake date. The fake dating situation never really comes into it. Like there is supposed to be. So instead we get the promise of a fake dating relationship, but instead it's just like a normal sort of relationship. And I just was wishing again for more from it, as well as like for it being a sort of science astronaut sort of situation. I wanted more from that as well. It was just one of those things that like, again, maybe it was me. Maybe I went into it expecting a little bit much, but it didn't quite live up to that. I think I gave this a 3.5 as well. Then we have some like older titles here. I have The New Year's Party by R.L. Stine. I read this at the very beginning of the year. I think this was my very first book of the year, and I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was fine for what it was. It wasn't as problematic as a lot of these older books that I have read in the past year or so have been. But it was just like a one sitting, very quick read, and I don't think I'm ever going to read it again, and so yeah. Last year I read some more like classic sort of books. So one of them that I have here is The Incredible Journey by Sheila Burnford. This is the inspiration for Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, which is like the childhood movie that I knew from way back in the day. Absolutely loved it. There are some similarities, but at the same time, it's very different. We're following the animals. They do not talk. We're just literally following these animals go through horrific things in the Canadian wilderness. Everybody's a boy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I liked the fact that we had Sassy the cat in the movie, and it's very hard to read because it's basically just really tough situations for these animals. It's also very short, very, very quick. If we were really gonna do this again, I think it needs to be a little bit more in depth, like instead of just like brushing over all the craziness and like things. And yes, these are animals that are the main part of the story, so we do have some like injuries and things like that. Just keep that in mind. Then I also did Chitty Chitty Bang Bang by Ian Fleming. Again, a movie that I remember watching and loving, and this is so, so different from the movie. The way that the dad has his kids, they have a mom and a wife still in this, whereas like there's a completely different woman who never shows up in here in the movie. The situations that Chitty Chitty Bang Bang gets them into are also very, very different. I listened to this on audio, and I think David Tennant was the one that read it, and that was something that very much helped me, but at the same time, I only gave it like 3 stars at the most. Like, it was not something I'm ever going to read again. And then the last book that I have here for this category of books that I have read and like completely read and do not want to keep is the Grimoire Grammar School Parent-Teacher Association by Caitlin Rozakis. This is my least favorite book of last year. I hated this one with a fiery passion. I think I gave it 2 stars. Like, I really, really did not like it. I went in expecting cozy fantasy PTA type of situation. It was just not that. Like, I really, really wanted to like it. It's very much like harder topics, like the dad doesn't really support the mom in her decisions with this kid going to kindergarten in this magical area because she's actually a werewolf and all this kind of stuff. They have like really, really difficult things that they need to talk about. There's this like cursed prophecy, which I thought was interesting, but the way that it played out, I didn't like. 2 stars. I personally hated it. Okay, so our next category are books that I DNF'd last year and this year. Yep, there are some that I DNF'd this year as well. Okay, so the first one I have here is the one that I DNF'd last year, and that's gonna be Running with Lions by Julian Winters. This was purely because it's just not my thing anymore. This is a YA sports book. I think there might be a little bit of romance. I don't know. It's LGBTQ, which is part of the reason I picked it up way, way, way back in the day. But I am not a like, let's read YA books about people in high school anymore. And it's people in high school plus sports, which I am not a sports person. Like, if I'm reading a sports romance, it's because I loved the romance, not because of the sports stuff. And so I got 30 pages or so into this and realized like, this is 100% not for me. I was gonna have to force myself to read it, and I did not want to do that. Then we do have some things that I DNF'd for this year. I have Gwen and Art Are Not in Love by Lex Croucher. So this is a Rainbow Crate edition, which is why it has this special cover, but I do also have the original here as well. This is one that I went into expecting more of a King Arthur retelling. It's not, it's more historical fiction. They do sort of talk a little bit about like, these are characters that are supposed to sort of be descended from King Arthur times, but like that could have been mythology, like they don't really know. And so it really, from what I was reading and then I DNF'd, was historical fiction, again, coming of age, figuring yourself out, LGBTQ, which again, I love, but the actual like historical fiction nature, like that's not my thing. And I did not, again, want to keep reading and force myself to do that. So I did put this down. However, Lex Croucher's coming out with an adult book this year that I'm very excited about. And then the last DNF I have here is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I think I did this one in a vlog, so I will leave it linked down below for you as well. I did not want to put myself through this. I got quite far into this, maybe not like super far, at least 100 pages or so into this, and it was just not my thing. It was very boring. I was not comfortable with some of the situations that were in here, and I know it was doing that on purpose, but I don't really care about the etymology of words, and that was the main sort of focus. It seems like she did a ton of research for this, but for how much I was just like not enjoying it in the first place, I also don't want to be devastated by the end, and like I did spoil myself for this, and I realized even before I spoiled myself, but like with that for sure, this is not the book for me. This is the Illumicrate edition in the slipcase. It is in like perfect condition, but not for me. Okay, and then the last category of books that I have here, and it's not too many, are books that I have not read and probably will never. The first book is actually a duplicate. This is Half City by Kate Golden. This is the Allurial edition. However, when I got mine in, you can see the like foiling. It's not even foiled necessarily. Like, there's foiling on there. The embossing, that's what it is. The embossing of it is off, and like you can really see it on here as well. This is supposed to be all the way over here. So they did send me a different copy, and so again, this is technically damaged, but it is that sort of special edition. It has the edges and the end papers, and the actual binding seems very good. It's just the dust jacket was completely messed up. I'm very excited for this. I have not read it yet. There is some sort of like Undercity thing. I've read that this is good for people that like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I love, which is part of the reason I broke my book buying ban. So I just have a duplicate that I don't need. Then I also have Creature by John Saul. I have a couple other John Sauls up here that I think I might eventually get rid of. However, I know for a fact this is technically my dad's, my stepdad's, and he might want it back. I have read quite a few of these older John Saul mass market weird horror things. I can't remember if I ever actually read this one, but it's supposed to be about a high school football team that never loses, and I got to the point where I was like, yeah, I like John Saul stuff. I have like one series that I absolutely love from him, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna actually read this one, and I think I might have when I was a teenager, and I just can't remember. So this is probably something that's gonna go back to my dad. And then we have some things that I pulled off my young adult shelf recently. Let me tell you, I told you. I said earlier, I have like a little over 40 things here. I really wanted more things. However, I look at my shelves, my TBR, and I'm like, but I think I want to read those. And I've been saying that about a lot of these things for forever, it feels like. So like, there's 4 books here that I pulled off my young adult TBR that for a while, for a few at least, unhauls, I've been like, I think I'm gonna read those. I don't know if I'm ever gonna read them. So the first one I have here is actually an ARC that I picked up last indie bookstore day just because they had free ARCs, and that should never be a reason to do it, but it's called Just Another Epic Love Poem by Parisa Akbari. This is gonna be some sort of like YA romance. I don't know. It's gonna have lyric and confessional prose and snippets of poetry, and like it sounded sort of intriguing at first, but I don't think I'm ever actually gonna pick it up. It's YA set in high school. The next one I have here is Flawless Girls by Anna Marie McLemore. I do think I picked this one up from Rainbow Crate because of a different book that was coming in from Rainbow Crate. This is the Rainbow Crate dust jacket, and then we do obviously have the original one under here as well. This one is mostly, it's talking about like a sinister finishing school, dismantle the patriarchy, pretty dresses, etc. There's girls that are like doing this like fancy school thing, high society. That kind of stuff's not really my thing either. And so the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I just don't ever really see myself picking this up. So yeah. The next one, the next 2 I feel really bad about, but I have the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School. This is by Sonido Reyes, who is now a trans masculine person back here. When I first got this, I think they were potentially non-binary, but now trans masculine. And this is just one of those things that, again, it's LGBTQ. I was very excited about that fact, but it is set in high school, and it's gonna be about just a character dealing with situations in their high school, and I just don't think I'm ever gonna actually want to pick it up, and I feel so bad about it. Yeah. And then the last one that I have here, I have had for years. This one was published in 2018. I think I got it that year. And that is going to be Beneath the Citadel by Destiny Soria. This is a book that I got from a book box that is defunct. Has been defunct since, at least 2019. I think it was before 2020. They basically were still trying to put out book boxes and took people's money, and then all of a sudden they were basically bankrupt at some point or something. So this is just like a normal book. It does have a signed bookplate in the book. It also came with a character card that looks like it's probably just like a pre-order bonus type of situation. And it came with a letter that you are not supposed to open until you finish the book. I have never opened the letter because I have never finished the book. This is a YA fantasy that I have almost gotten rid of at least 4 times. I might have talked about it in an unhaul before I moved here. And yet here it is, because apparently there's an asexual character and I was like very curious about that. But I've seen other books where we have demisexual and asexual spectrum characters that have just been like in the book, and like, yes, that is sort of a selling point for me, but it's not the only reason that I'm reading the book. I'm reading it because of the story, and the only reason I'm keeping this book is because it has an ace character. And I don't think that should be the only reason I have this book that I got in a book box from a company that is no longer a thing. So that is everything. We have all of the books that I'm going to unhaul. Like I said, if anybody is living in the United States and is curious, they want to know about this, we can definitely work that out. Otherwise, sometime soon, I am planning on getting rid of these through either little free libraries or other bookstores or something like that. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye.